In a world where marriage is a contract, loyalty is a performance, and love is nothing more than a luxury that only fools believe in, one woman discovers that the biggest enemy she ever had was the person she trusted the most. This is the story of Han Yi-joo, a quiet, gentle woman who spent her entire life being invisible to her family, to her husband, and even to herself. A woman raised in a house where affection was rare, where silence was safer than honesty, and where her only wish was to be loved just once. But fate is cruel. Her marriage becomes a trap. Her husband betrays her. Her family abandons her. And the life she sacrificed everything for turns into the weapon used to destroy her. Until one moment changes everything, the moment she dies and opens her eyes again. Reborn. Not as a victim, not as a forgotten wife, but as a woman who has returned for one purpose only: revenge. In this second life, Han Yi-joo no longer begs for love, she chooses power. She no longer accepts humiliation, she plans destiny. And she no longer falls for lies, she creates her own rules. Her first step? A marriage proposal. Not for romance, but for war. A marriage that will shake the entire social elite, expose hidden secrets, and rewrite every alliance and betrayal she once suffered. Because this time she is not the same woman they destroyed. This time she holds all the cards, and the world that once crushed her will kneel before the woman who rose from death with a new heart, a new mind, and a new purpose. Welcome to the full story of Perfect Marriage Revenge, a tale of rebirth, betrayal, and a revenge so elegant that even love itself must learn to fear her. In a house built on money, image, and cold expectations, there lives a woman who was never really meant to belong. Her name is Han Yi-joo. She grew up in an orphanage, forgotten by the world until a rich family chose her. To the outside world, it looked like a miracle. The Han family, owners of a powerful financial group, adopting a quiet little girl and giving her a new life. Inside the house, it felt different. Yi-joo became the adopted eldest daughter, but never the real one. Her stepmother, Lee Jung-hae, smiled at her in public and used her in private. Her father, Han Jin-won, treated her like a distant responsibility. The real princess of the house was always the younger daughter, Han Yu-ra, the biological child, the favorite, the spoiled one who grew up believing that the world existed to serve her. Yi-joo learned very early that love in this family came with conditions, and those conditions never included her. Still, she tried. She worked hard. She studied. She did everything to make her parents proud. And somewhere along the way, she discovered a talent. Painting. Art became her escape, her safe place. She painted for herself at first, but Jung-hee noticed. Suddenly, her loving mother encouraged her to paint more, not because she cared, but because she saw an opportunity. Yi-joo's paintings became imitations of famous art, copied in detail, signed in silence. Jung-hee used them in her gallery, selling them illegally to rich clients as original pieces, making money off Yi-joo's talent while pretending it was nothing more than a harmless hobby. Yi-joo thought she was making her mother happy. In reality, she was being used in a crime she didn't even know existed. In the middle of this cold house, Yi-joo believed she had at least one bright spot in her life: her fiancé, Yoo Se-hyuk. He wasn't rich. He was the son of the family's chauffeur. He was gentle, quiet, and seemed like someone who understood what it meant to be looked down on. To Yi-joo, he was the only person who saw her as a woman and not as a tool. She married him, believing she had finally found love. She was wrong. Si-hyuk had grown up around both Yi-joo and Yura, and the one he loved was never Yi-joo. From the beginning, his heart was fixed on Yura, the younger sister, the real heiress. Yi-joo became nothing more than the bridge that allowed him to stay close to the woman he actually wanted. Her married life turned into a quiet nightmare. Her husband ignored her. His family treated her like a walking bank account. At home, she was a maid and a wallet. At her parents' house, she was a tool and a shield. She endured it all, convincing herself that if she kept trying, if she kept being patient, if she kept loving everyone around her one day, they might love her back. That day never came. Instead, everything collapsed in a single sequence of betrayals. One day, Yi-joo discovers the truth about her paintings. She learns that Young-hae has been defrauding clients, selling her imitation paintings as originals, and building a reputation and a fortune on lies. And then she discovers something worse. Her stepmother has framed her for it. In the same day, another truth hits her like a truck. Her husband, Si-hyuk, has filed for divorce, and his heart has always belonged to her younger sister, Yura. The person she loved as a partner never truly loved her. The family she tried to protect is ready to throw her in prison to save themselves. The life she wasted herself for was built on sand. Overwhelmed, broken, and desperate, Yi-joo runs. Out of the house, out of the marriage, out of the lie she has been living. In the middle of the night, in a storm of tears and headlights, her car swerves. Metal crashes, glass shatters, everything goes dark. Yi-joo survives the accident barely. She wakes up in a hospital bed, weak and confused, clinging to the thin line between life and death. You would think this is the moment her family realizes they went too far. It isn't a Young-hae doesn't come to apologize. She doesn't come to comfort her. She doesn't even come to explain. Instead, she sends someone else. Her loyal assistant, Kim Jae-won, walks into the hospital room with a calm face and deadly intentions. He's there to do exactly what Young-hae ordered. Erase the problem. Han Yi-joo dies not in an accident, but as a victim of murder. Her life ends with a needle and a lie. Her body grows cold in a quiet hospital room, while the world outside continues as if she never existed. And then something impossible happens. She opens her eyes. Yi-joo wakes up in her bed. Her body is whole. Her mind is spinning. Her heart is racing. The calendar on the wall shows a date she knows too well, 1 year before everything fell apart. She is back in 2022, before the accident, before the divorce, before the murder. She is still engaged to Yoo Si-hyuk. She is still the unwanted daughter. She is still living in the same house with the same people who will one day destroy her. Only one thing is different now. She remembers everything, all the lies, all the betrayals, all the faces that watched her suffer and stayed silent. And in that moment, Han Yi-joo makes a decision. This time, she will not beg for love. This time, she will not kneel. This time, she will not sacrifice herself for people who would gladly watch her die. This time, she will destroy them first. With a calm that hides a storm, Yi-joo begins planning her revenge. Step 1. She will not marry Yoo Si-hyuk. In the first timeline, that marriage became the chain that tied her to misery and humiliation. Now she cuts that chain before it can ever wrap around her neck. She confronts Si-hyuk. She looks at the man who once watched her die, the man who chose her sister over her, the man who used her, and she breaks off the engagement. No tears, no breakdown, just a clean, sharp cut. He is shocked, confused, hurt not because he loves her, but because he is losing his easy way into the Han family. He tries to delay the breakup. He pretends to be reasonable. He plays the victim. Yi-joo is no longer the naive woman he used to manipulate. She walks away. And then she moves to step 2 of her plan, a move that will change everyone's fate. If Yu-ra and Young-hae wanted to use her, if they wanted to treat her like a pawn, then she will become the queen. In the first timeline, Yu-ra had a crush on a powerful man, Seo Do-guk, a chaebol heir, grandson of the Taija Group's founder, and head of his own successful company, H-Terrier. A man with money, a man with influence. A man Yu-ra dreamed of marrying to cement her position. In this new timeline, Yi-joo goes to him first, not as a shy girl, not as a victim, but as a woman with a plan. She looks Seo Do-guk in the eyes and makes him a proposal, a contract marriage. She wants him to marry her so she can destroy the people who destroyed her. On paper, it is a simple deal. She gets protection, power, and a position that will crush her family's expectations. He gets a marriage that shields him from schemes, family pressure, and women like Yu-ra who chase him for status. But Do-guk is not a fool. He doesn't just accept her words. He asks her directly, "Why me? Why this marriage?" Yi-joo doesn't hide it. She tells him the truth. She wants to hurt her stepmother. She wants to expose the lies in her family. She wants to shatter Yu-ra's fantasy. She wants to stand in front of them as someone they can no longer ignore or step on. Do-guk listens carefully. In his world, people are always lying, always acting, always playing games. He expects her to be the same, but she isn't. Her honesty intrigues him. Her desperation moves him. Her determination impresses him more than he lets on. He doesn't say yes immediately. He adds one condition. If she wants this marriage, she must first win the trust of his grandmother, the iron-willed matriarch of Taija Group. Only then will he stand beside her. For Yi-joo, this is not a barrier. It's an opportunity. In her past life, she kept bending to please people who never valued her. In this one, she will give her effort to someone who actually has the power to change her fate. So she begins again. Not as the adopted daughter who tries to earn love, but as a woman who is building her own destiny. She approaches Do-guk's grandmother with respect and sincerity. She doesn't pretend to be the perfect future wife. She doesn't hide her background. She shows up as herself, quiet, observant, capable, and unafraid of hard work. Slowly, the grandmother begins to see what others refuse to see. Yi-joo is not weak. She is not a decorative daughter. She is not a doll to be placed and forgotten. She is resilient, smart, brave. While Yi-joo is earning Taeja's respect, her family is slowly losing control. Yu-ra is furious. The rich heir she fantasized about is now being approached by the sister she always treated like trash. Jealousy burns, rage grows. Young-hae, calculating as always, tries to manage the situation, but this time things are not going according to her script. The daughter she used as a scapegoat is slipping out of her hands. The daughter she invested in, Yu-ra, is becoming unstable and reckless. Step by step, the board is changing. As Yi-joo and Do-guk move closer to a contract marriage, something else begins to change quietly between them. She starts to see the man behind the businessman, a man who also grew up in a broken family, a man who also knows what it means to be used as a pawn, a man who hides his wounds behind control and intelligence. He, in turn, begins to see the woman behind the polite smiles, a woman who survived neglect, a woman who carried everyone else's weight, a woman who decided that if the world wouldn't protect her, she would protect herself. Their marriage begins as a tool, a strategy, a weapon. But as they move into the same house, face the same enemies, and stand together against both the Han and Seo families' politics, the contract starts to feel like something else. They begin to share more than a plan. They share secrets, pain, memories, small moments of comfort. One night after a particularly brutal confrontation with both families, Yi-joo's mask cracks. She admits that in her first life, no one held her hand. No one chose her. No one stood beside her when she was blamed, isolated, and killed. Do-guk listens silently, and for the first time, he makes a choice that isn't about business, power, or family strategy. He chooses her. He tells her in his own quiet way that this time she is not alone. This time, if the world turns against her, he will stand in front of her, not behind her. From that point on, their relationship stops being just an arrangement and slowly becomes a real marriage. Together, they begin taking apart the people who ruined Yi-joo's whole life. Young Hye's art fraud. Yi-joo and Do-guk gather evidence, use the right contacts, and set everything up so the truth can explode publicly at the right moment. Ura's lies and manipulations. Yi-joo stops reacting emotionally and starts using Ura's own ambition against her, letting her walk right into traps she doesn't even see. Yoo Si-hyuk, the ex-fiancé who sacrificed Yi-joo for his obsession with Ura, he finds himself dragged into a life he never imagined, stuck with Ura and her chaos, facing the same contempt and pressure Yi-joo once faced from his family. One by one, the people who stood on Yi-joo's neck begin to lose their balance. At the same time, Yi-joo's past and identity are revealed piece by piece. She learns more about her biological mother. She confronts the pain of being abandoned and used not once, but twice. She accepts that not all blood is family, and sometimes the people who truly become your home are the ones you meet later, by choice, not by birth. Do-guk stands with her through every revelation. He faces his own family as shadows too, an older brother with a hidden cruel streak, a father with regrets, a grandmother with guilt. Their love story doesn't float above the drama. It grows inside it. There are moments when they clash, moments when truth hurts, moments when old wounds make it hard to trust fully. But every time something breaks, they fix it together instead of walking away. And slowly, very slowly, the girl who once died alone in a hospital bed becomes a woman who walks confidently beside a man who would die before letting her fall again. The final acts of revenge fall into place with the cold precision of a well-played chess game. Young Hye's crimes are exposed. The art fraud, the manipulation, the years of emotional abuse all come crashing down. Her carefully crafted social mask shatters in public view. Ura, who spent her life believing she could take everything from Yi-joo and never pay a price, finds herself trapped in a life she doesn't control anymore, dealing with consequences she never thought would reach her. The people who once laughed while Yi-joo suffered now taste the same humiliation, fear, and isolation they forced on her. But perhaps the most powerful part of Yi-joo's revenge is not how she destroys them, it is how she chooses to live after they fall. Because revenge by itself is empty. What truly matters is what remains when the anger fades. Yi-joo doesn't become like them. She doesn't turn into a monster. She doesn't let hatred define her forever. She allows herself to be loved. She allows herself to be happy. She allows herself to believe that she deserves more than survival. By the end of her second life, She is no longer the girl begging for crumbs of affection in a house that never wanted her. She is Han Yi-joo, wife, mother, artist, and woman who rewrote her own fate. Beside her is Seo Doguk, no longer just a contract husband or a strategic partner, but a real companion, a man who chose her fully, knowing her scars, her past, and her darkness. Together they build a home that is not made of lies but of truth, not built on appearances but on trust, not held together by fear but by love. Where once she died alone and forgotten, now she lives surrounded by people who genuinely care for her, including the tiny, miraculous presence of their child, the living proof that her new life is real, not a dream. In the end, Perfect Marriage Revenge is not just a drama about a woman getting even. It's the story of a woman who was broken, erased, and killed by the people who should have protected her, and who was given one impossible, beautiful chance to come back and say, no more. No more begging. No more apologizing for existing. No more letting others decide her worth. She doesn't just take revenge on her husband and family. She takes back herself. And maybe that is the most perfect revenge of all. After the mysterious explosion that ends her first life, Han Yi-joo wakes up breathless, her heart pounding violently as if it still remembers the moment it stopped. But instead of darkness, she opens her eyes to a bedroom she hasn't seen in years. Her old room, her old furniture, her old life. Everything is exactly as it was before the marriage that ruined her future. At first, Yi-joo thinks she's dreaming. Then she thinks she's dying. But when she sees the date flashing on her phone, a date from years ago, months before her arranged wedding, her blood turns cold. She's gone back in time, returned to the moment before her downfall, returned to the moment where everything could still be changed or destroyed again. She stands in front of the mirror, touching her face, her hair, her shaking lips. The woman staring back at her is younger, unbroken, unbetrayed, untouched by the pain that once consumed her. And for the first time, she whispers to herself, "This time I choose myself." The family that smiles while it cuts you. Yi-joo's family is powerful, elegant, and poisonous. Her mother treats her like a decorative object, not a daughter. Her sister treats her like competition. Her father sees her as a tool, a bargaining chip in business politics. In her previous life, Yi-joo accepted this quietly. She endured humiliation, loneliness, emotional neglect because she believed that loyalty would eventually make them love her. But now she knows the truth. They never did. They never will. At the breakfast table, her sister shoots her the same fake smile she once feared. Her mother gives her the same passive-aggressive comments. Her father barely acknowledges her existence. But instead of shrinking like before, Yi-joo watches them calmly, like a hunter watching prey. Every word, every expression, every lie. She sees it all now, and she makes a silent promise to herself. You want to break me again? The fiancé who turned her life into a prison, Kang Do-guk, the man she was supposed to marry, handsome, polite, successful, loved by everyone. Everyone except Yi-joo because she knows the truth about him now. Behind the perfect facade hides manipulation, emotional control, and a coldness that once destroyed her. Before, she walked willingly into his arms. Now she avoids him like a shadow she refuses to touch. When Doguk approaches her with his trademark smooth smile, Yi-joo freezes for a second, the trauma of her past life tugging at her, but she steadies herself and meets his eyes without fear. Yi-joo, he says softly, you look different today. She smiles a smile he cannot read, a smile with sharp edges. "Do I?" she replies. He studies her, confused. The obedient doll he controlled is gone. In front of him stands a woman who knows exactly who he is. And for the first time, Do-guk feels something unfamiliar. Alarm. The man who was supposed to be her enemy but becomes something else among all the people in her new life. There is one man. Yi-joo never expected to cross paths with Seo Do-won, cold, precise, sharp as a blade. He is the heir of a rival family, a man raised on discipline and logic, a man who trusts no one. In her previous life, they were nothing more than distant acquaintances, barely exchanged a few words, barely crossed each other's path. But now fate seems determined to place him directly in front of her. Yi-joo meets him at an art exhibition, the same exhibition where her old life began to fall apart. But this time, she is not the quiet, fragile girl walking behind her fiancé. This time, she stands on her own. Do-won notices her instantly, not because she is beautiful, but because she stands with a silent strength that wasn't there before. He watches her speak with confidence. He watches her walk with purpose. He watches her confront people who once intimidated her, and he wonders, who is she really? Yi-joo, aware of his gaze, feels something unexpected, a sense of safety, not because he is kind, but because he is impossible to fool. For the first time since waking up in the past, she meets someone she doesn't have to hide from, someone who sees through masks, someone who recognizes brokenness, two damaged souls, two different scars, one unspoken connection. The decision that changes everything. Yi-joo knows that simply avoiding the past is not enough. If she wants true revenge, if she wants freedom, she must destroy the very foundation of the life that once trapped her. And that means one thing: breaking the engagement, not quietly, not gently, not politely, but publicly, permanently, completely. She walks into the family meeting room, the same room where she once had her future dictated to her. But this time, her voice doesn't shake. "I refuse the marriage," she says calmly. The room explodes. Her mother screams her name. Her father slams the table. Do-guk stares at her in disbelief. Her sister smirks, thinking Yi-joo is losing her mind. But Yi-joo stands tall, unshaken. She knows what they done to. She has her future back, and she will never let anyone control it again. Do-guk steps closer, his voice low with restrained anger. "Yi-joo, we need to talk." She looks him straight in the eyes and says, "No, we never will again." This moment changes everything. The pieces on the chessboard shift. Enemies awaken, alliances crumble, and the quiet girl they once underestimated begins her transformation into a force none of them are prepared for. Everything begins to unravel the moment Han Yi-joo enters the Kang family mansion, as if she had always belonged there. She walks through the halls with calm confidence, but inside her chest, a storm is preparing itself. This marriage was never about love. It was about payback. Yi-joo knows exactly who destroyed her life in the past timeline. Her stepmother, her stepsister Yura, and the man she once loved, Min-hwan, who betrayed her with the cruelest heart. But in this lifetime, she refuses to play the victim. The beginning of the real game. In the luxurious dining room, the members of the Kang family gather for a formal dinner. The atmosphere is tense, heavy, filled with hidden gazes and fake smiles. Yi-joo sits beside Seo Do-guk, her unexpectedly loyal husband, calm, observant, and always analyzing every detail. Do-guk notices a slight tremble in Yi-joo's hand when she picks up her fork. He leans closer and whispers so only she can hear. If anyone bothers you, tell me. Yi-joo doesn't respond, but the corner of her mouth lifts slightly. She didn't marry him for protection, but having him beside her strengthens her resolve. Across the table, Yura, her stepsister, watches her like a hawk. Jealousy burns in her eyes. She forces a sweet smile. Annie, you look tired. Is marriage already stressful? Yi-joo lifts her gaze slowly. Her voice is calm, sharp, perfectly controlled. You should know, Yura. You've practiced pretending better than anyone here. The entire table freezes. Yura's smile cracks. Her stepmother drops her spoon. Duguk tries to hide a smirk. Tonight, Yi-joo declares silently, I am not the same woman you hurt before. The secret meeting. Later that night, Yura and her mother meet privately in a dimly lit room. The mother slams a box on the table. That girl, she is planning something. I can feel it. Yura responds sharply. She should be stayed quiet. Why did she marry into the Kang family? What is she after? The mother grabs Yura's arm tightly. We need to find out and stop her before she destroys everything we built. What they don't know is that Yi-joo is already 3 steps ahead. The husband she never expected. Back in their bedroom, Duguk sits on the edge of the bed, watching Yi-joo as she removes her jewelry. He finally speaks. Tell me the truth, Yi-joo. Why did you agree to marry me so suddenly? She looks at him through the mirror. Why did you ask me, Mr. Seo? He smiles slightly but doesn't answer. 2 people with secrets, 2 people with hidden wounds, 2 people pretending this is only a marriage of convenience. But something deeper begins forming between them, a quiet trust neither of them fully understands yet. Duguk stands, approaches her slowly, and gently lifts her chin. Whoever hurt you, they will regret it. Yi-joo's breath catches. Not because she's afraid, but because she realizes this man might become her greatest weapon or her greatest weakness. The investigation begins the next day. Yi-joo begins her real plan. She visits the gallery she once dreamed of managing, but instead of admiring the art, she walks straight to the manager and whispers, I want to reopen the investigation, the one about the forged paintings. The manager freezes. Forged paintings. A scandal from the past. A crime that was pinned on Yi-joo to destroy her reputation. She shows him a USB. This time we do it quietly, and we start with my stepmother. The manager swallows hard. He knows exactly what this means. Yi-joo isn't just after justice. She is ready to burn everything they built. Betrayal revealed. Meanwhile, Min Hwan, the man who once betrayed Yi-joo, hears rumors that she is now the wife of one of Korea's most powerful heirs. His ego cannot accept it. He storms into Yura's boutique, slamming the door behind him. You told me she was weak, that she was nothing. Yura snaps back. How could I know she'd marry him? He grabs her by the wrist. If she exposes us, we are finished. Yura pushes him away, but her voice trembles. Then we hit her first, before she hits us. Min Hwan nods, darkness filling his eyes. They don't realize that Doguk, as private investigator, is recording everything from the next room. The walls close in. That night, Doguk enters their home office holding a thick envelope. He places it gently on the desk in front of Yi-joo. She looks up, confused. He says quietly, This is everything about Min Hwan and about your stepsister. Yi-joo's hands shake as she opens it. Pictures, messages, financial records, hotel reservations, secret meetings, her past life collapsing in front of her again. But this time, she's in control. Duguk watches her carefully. You don't have to face them alone. Yi-joo lifts her eyes slowly, and for the first time, truly she believes him. The Vow of Revenge. Yi-joo stands on the balcony, looking down at the glowing city. The wind moves her hair gently. Her voice is almost silent. This time, I want to be the one crying. She turns around, eyes burning with determination. They will. And somewhere in the darkness below, the people who destroyed her life are completely unaware that the woman they once broke is now coming for them with power, with allies, with intelligence, and with a husband who is quietly willing to tear down the world for her. This is no longer a marriage. This is war, and Yi-joo intends to win. And so after all the lies, the betrayals, and the years of silent suffering, Han Yi-joo finally steps out of the darkness that once controlled her life. She walked a path filled with manipulation, humiliation, and heartbreak, a path where her voice was ignored, her dreams dismissed, and her existence treated like a burden. But life gave her a second chance, a chance to rewrite every moment that once destroyed her, a chance to stand in front of the world, not as a victim, but as a woman who finally understands her worth. Through her alliance and later, her love with Seo Do-guk, she rebuilds everything that was taken from her. She learns what loyalty feels like, what trust sounds like, and what real partnership means. And piece by piece, the chains that tied her to her old life begin to fall away. Her family, once untouchable, now crumbles under the weight of their own greed. The people who tried to silence her become exposed. Those who underestimated her witness her rise. And the world that once crushed her spirit now watches her with awe. Because revenge was never about destruction. It was about truth. It was about freedom. It was about giving herself the life she deserved from the very beginning. Standing beside Do-guk, she is no longer the woman they could manipulate. She is no longer the broken daughter they hid in the shadows. She is no longer the scared wife trapped in a life she never chose. She is Han Yi-joo reborn, powerful, graceful, and finally in control of her own destiny. Her marriage may have started as a plan, as a strategy for revenge, but in the end, it became the very thing that saved her heart. Sometimes the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And for Yi-joo, that second chance was everything. This was the full story of perfect marriage revenge, a story of betrayal, rebirth, justice, and a woman who turned her pain into power. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next recap.